Godzilla Minus One demolished all expectations and delivered one of the best action films of 2023. Considering that it had to follow the critically acclaimed live-action Shin Godzilla, directed by the creator of Neon Genesis Evangelion, Hideaki Anno, the success of this film is a colossal achievement. To honour its impact, Godzilla Minus One received the Oscar for visual effects. This is even more impressive considering that the visual effects team consisted of only 35 artists. Godzilla Minus One showcases the unique qualities and enduring relevance of the kaiju genre. It's a character-driven story about people finding strength in community after being confronted with an overwhelming force. It's a simple but timely message. When the world is burning, it's the people around us who are most important.
The eighth wonder of the world, King Kong.
Despite playing an integral role in establishing the kaiju genre with King Kong, Hollywood's approach over the years has been more focused on big action sequences rather than plot, characters, or themes. Godzilla 1998 was a huge failure, outright rejected by Toho and known by many as GINO, standing for Godzilla in name only. There were some other notable attempts within the genre, such as Cloverfield and Pacific Rim, yet on the whole, Hollywood has struggled to capture the essence of meaningful kaiju stories. But while they may not live up to the standards of the recent Japanese Godzilla films, Hollywood has forged ahead with its action-focused kaiju films. In the wake of the superhero trend in Hollywood, Godzilla and King Kong were revived to establish the Monsterverse franchise. Although the Godzilla x Kong trailer looks more like a superhero team-up than a compelling story, there's no denying the success of the Monsterverse. It's even got its own big-budget prestige TV series called Monarch, which strives to flesh out the world while laying groundwork for more of the franchise. As Godzilla once again dominates screens globally and the kaiju genre makes a resurgence, an upcoming anime series is about to trample the status quo. It opens by posing a very simple question. If you were able to take down a kaiju, how on earth would you clean that up? Welcome to Gateway to Anime. If you're new here, we try to help people discover exciting new anime to watch and also deep dive into the classics. If that sounds good, hit subscribe for more from us and like this video to help others find it. The kaiju genre is back. If this is something that excites you, then we've got an upcoming anime adaptation of a beloved manga series that you are going to love. But first, here's a quick word from our sponsors. If you can't wait for the Kaiju No. 8 anime, you can order a copy of the manga right now from MangaMate. MangaMate is an online anime and manga store based in Brisbane, serving anime and manga products at affordable prices. They have a huge range of English translated manga and light novels, as well as figurines and collectibles. MangaMate are also dedicated to cultivating that culture more within Australia, supporting local artists and writers to create their own manga with their MangaMate original series. Their first release is called War Games: Godsend. There is a limited edition pilot manga available right now with an exciting series to follow soon. But if you're just after the classics, they've got you covered. They have all your favourite series as well as the newest releases, including the hugely popular Kaiju No. 8. The latest instalment, Volume 9, is available now on the MangaMate store. And if you're as hooked as we are on this series, you can pre-order Volume 10 right now. MangaMate is having a huge sale around Easter this year. They ship worldwide, so jump on their website and order yourself some goodies. Thanks so much to MangaMate for sponsoring this video and supporting our channel. You can find a link to MangaMate's website in the description. Kaiju No. 8 is one of the most popular new manga releases in recent years, so the upcoming anime adaptation is highly anticipated. With so many successful kaiju films in the cinemas, it seems like perfect timing for this series in particular. We won't get into spoilers in this video, but we do want to introduce you to the world of this manga before the anime release. If you're an anime fan and you want a quick primer, Kaiju No. 8 combines intense action like Attack on Titan with the self-aware humour of One Punch Man. It uses some very familiar shonen tropes, yet part of its success is due to just how well it executes them. Kaiju No. 8 feels like a love letter to both the shonen style and the kaiju genre. For anybody unfamiliar with the word kaiju, it's quite simple. They're big monsters. If you've heard of King Kong or Godzilla, now you know what to call them. Kaiju is a Japanese word meaning strange beast. Stories in the kaiju genre are generally about giant, strange beasts wreaking havoc in modern cities. It's about the overwhelming power of nature clashing with humanity's dominion of the planet. More than that, the kaiju genre challenges the systems that govern our societies and the confidence we place in our technology. The kaiju genre kicked off after the release of Godzilla in 1954, spawning an enormously popular trend of giant monsters in Japanese media. This also contributed to the creation of the iconic mecha genre, one of the hallmarks of anime. Godzilla wasn't the first giant monster film. It was directly inspired by King Kong and the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. And stretching even further back, the stories of Jules Verne found popularity in Japan during the Meiji era. The roots of the genre could even be traced all the way back to ancient myths of dragons. It was Godzilla that truly consolidated these elements for a Japanese audience, tapping into the palpable fear of atomic weapons that gripped the nation. While King Kong may have set the blueprint for kaiju stories, Godzilla defined the genre and spawned countless similar works. It's this long legacy of Japanese kaiju stories that this new anime series hinges on. It recognises that the shock of a giant monster simply isn't enough anymore, and imagines a world where it has become the norm. Kafka pays the rent by disposing of dead kaiju. It's a humble life, but it's honest work. And in a world where kaiju attacks are commonplace, this job is an essential part of Japan's sanitation services. It's not as glamorous as working for the heroic defense force who take the beast down, but Kafka gave up on that childish dream long ago. When a new recruit joins his cleanup crew with ambitions to try out for the defense force, Kafka is confronted by what his life has become. You see, Kafka and his childhood friend Mina had their hometown destroyed in a kaiju attack. Back then, they swore to fight kaiju side by side in the defense force, yet he failed the entrance exam. Mina went on to become an incredible fighter, leaving him to settle for whatever job he could find. Now in his 30s, Kafka is almost too old to even enlist in the defense force. Leno, the new recruit, has an uncompromising resolve and initially dismisses Kafka as a failure. But after Kafka shows him the ropes of the disposal job and one day saves him from a sudden monster attack, the two form a bond. As the two recover from the attack in a hospital room, he convinces Kafka to give the defense force one more shot. In a moment of shock and panic, Leno pulls back the curtain between their beds to reveal a kaiju. It's immediately clear that they must flee the hospital till Kafka can get control of his monstrous new body and learn how to shift back to his human form. From this point, the story really begins. The two must pass the entrance exam for the defense force, all while hiding the fact that Kafka himself has become a kaiju, the very creatures that the organization exists to hunt. Now, for anybody who's watched some anime before, this setup will be pretty familiar. From Bleach and Naruto to Attack on Titan and Jujutsu Kaisen, this trope has been done to death. The hero joins an organization who hunt down the very type of monster sealed within them, using that power to fight for good. There's slight variations every time, like Nezuko in Demon Slayer being the one who bears the curse, but this is a very formulaic story. That's part of what makes Kaiju No. 8 so enjoyable though. It uses those tropes as shorthand to focus on characters and world building, while also rewarding that familiarity with self-aware humour in a similar fashion to One Punch Man. Most shonen anime have our protagonist discovering a secret world of myth and monsters. The monsters are the novelty in those shows, whereas they are so commonplace in Kaiju No. 8 that the whole world is apathetic towards them. Right from the opening, it satirises the very idea that Japan is always being attacked by kaiju. In most kaiju films, their emergence is a cataclysmic event that the whole story centres around. This series asks how many times this can happen before the world stops caring, which is not only a humorous conceit, but also a clever critique of the news cycles and chaos of the real world that we live in. While Kaiju No. 8 isn't afraid to mock shonen tropes and the kaiju genre, it also knows how to leverage them for some excellent action. The Defense Force needs to work as a team to take down these colossal beasts. Some are specialists with blades for close combat, others use heavy artillery, and the rest use medium-range guns. They have to work together to identify and expose weak points unique to each kaiju, making each of their talents essential in bringing them down. This leads to some blade combat reminiscent of Attack on Titan, with the added excitement of infantry fighting waves of smaller spawn creatures, which feels closer to a sci-fi thriller like Aliens. But how exactly can regular humans bring down the famously formidable kaiju? This is where world building kicks in. When a kaiju appears, they are taken down by the Defense Force. This is cleaned up by crews like Monster Sweeper Inc., who Kafka works for when we first meet him. Any valuable parts of these creatures are sent to an organization called Izumo Tech, which adapts harvested kaiju material into weapons. Izumo Tech supplies anti-kaiju weaponry to the Defense Force, converting each kaiju's unique physiology into things like specialized ammunition that can freeze or stun. Their most important product, though, are their bodysuits. These streamlined suits are made from the muscles and ligaments of powerful kaiju, enabling the wearer to far exceed the limits of the human body. Depending on their skill, each wearer can draw a different percentage of power from these incredible suits. This affects everything from their movement to the power of their gunshots. Most wearers can only draw up to 20% of power at best, but an elite few can perform incredible feats in these suits. This clever world building enables our regular human characters to maneuver around these giant kaiju at inhuman speeds, pulling off mighty slashes of their blades and powerful blasts of their artillery before bringing them down. The different power levels drawn from these suits also leads to exciting moments that call back to the numerical power levels of Dragon Ball Z.
Vegeta, what did you say his power level is? It's over 9,000!
A power ranking is also applied to the kaiju in this world. Each kaiju that appears is assigned a fortitude level, a scale to indicate their overall strength. Large and dangerous kaiju are classified as homage. When a honju appears, they are often accompanied by smaller and less powerful kaiju, classified as yoju. Then there is a rarer classification of daikaiju. These kaiju are incredibly dangerous, with abnormally high fortitude levels and unique characteristics. When one of these legendary daikaiju emerge, they are given a numbered classification. This is where we get the title of our series, as Kafka's new kaiju form is classified as one of these rare daikaiju and assigned a number. Kaiju number 8. Kafka's unique and enormous power is an exciting element for the action. One of the first instances of him using this power against a kaiju has him obliterating it, leaving only blood to rain down upon him in an iconic moment. This classification as a numbered daikaiju, however, is laced with danger. Previous daikaiju have all been harvested as weapons. Their special characteristics are turned into rare and powerful equipment known as numbers weapons. Elite members of the Defense Force are paired with these legendary weapons, which are vital tools for taking down other daikaiju. This places Kafka in a dangerous position, where even those that want to help him have legitimate reasons to consider whether killing him is actually the wisest choice. Kafka relies heavily on his kaiju abilities to even keep up with his peers in the Defense Force, yet his ability to control this mighty power as Kaiju number 8 is a constant concern, even for himself. This narrative concept is directly tied to our main character's unique name. If you had noticed that Kafka doesn't sound particularly Japanese, that's because he's likely named after author Franz Kafka. Kafka's writing features isolated protagonists facing surreal and bizarre predicaments, commonly used to explore the weight of socio-bureaucratic powers and themes of isolation, guilt, and existential anxiety. Kafka's famous novella, The Metamorphosis, features a working-class protagonist waking up as a human-sized cockroach, who is still forced to reckon with his daily routine despite his bizarre circumstances. Not only must he come to terms with his strange new form, his family resent that he no longer provides for the household, and a great emphasis of the story is their complicated response to his transformation. The parallels to this narrative in Kaiju number 8 are obvious, and this is again a clever use of shorthand. Anyone familiar with the writing of Franz Kafka, and even the term Kafkaesque, will immediately understand the tone and themes of Kaiju No. 8. While the manga still hasn't finished, it would be reasonable to assume that the ending of the story will mirror the tragic endings of Kafka's writing. This is where the anime adaptation may run into trouble. Kaiju No. 8 is a very delicate balance of action, humour, and Kafkaesque themes. The anime will need to replicate this tone, which is a tall order. If they get it right, the action and humour will be enough to make this anime adaptation intriguing and meme-worthy, which could boost its popularity in its early stages. Maintaining an audience and proving that it's more than that will be a harder task. Yet the characters of this series and the themes really are a deep well to draw from. There are some really interesting character arcs that we won't spoil here, and there are some great pacing points for the action as well, where each large battle is more than just an action set piece, but a real character moment. Almost all of the fight scenes in Kaiju No. 8 hinge on an individual character's development and some important story revelations. Rather than just worrying about the risk of danger, these fight scenes are engaging storytelling moments as well. There is some great potential for this anime, but it all hinges on the execution. Thankfully, the animation is being handled by industry heavyweight Production IG, and it appears that many of the key visuals of the manga are being adapted faithfully. The simplified art style of the anime may also be a hurdle for some, but hopefully the strongest parts of the manga will still carry over. Over here at Gateway to Anime, we are so excited about the upcoming adaptation of Kaiju No. 8. Let us know how you feel about it too. Write in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If you want more, you can find us on social media at Instagram and TikTok. And if you really like us, you can head over to our Patreon for some exclusive content. Until then, I'm Charlie from Gateway to Anime. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one.